There, something slightly different. Starting with the water-soluble pastels. Hello, Karen. Good to have you on board. This is Daily Art Adventure number 703. Hard to believe. There. Now it's official and legal. Well, I don't know if it's legal, but it's official. Well, I don't know if it's official, but I'm doing it. And I am back in my favorite place in the world, sort of, since I live in this town. Sorry, I have a setting in my phone that needs changing, and I haven't changed it yet. So I keep getting interrupted by chats. So I'm looking at a scene something like this, paying considerable attention to the cars, and a little while ago, the sun was much more, hello Cyril, good to have you on board. The sun was much more dramatic. It's gone behind that building now, but the sun was kind of outlining the tops of these buildings. Now, it remains to be seen how much of that I actually try to capture, because this is looking to me quite a bit. Oh, wait a minute. While I'm showing you around, so I'm in a city park in downtown Raleigh. It has just been rebuilt. Oh, I'm sorry, let me go to this wide angle, there we go. This is called Moore Square. It's been closed for a couple years. They spent many millions of dollars fixing it up. I have a very, very long, rich and deep history with this park, which I won't go into right now. But I will tell you that I have done approximately 90 8 by 10 foot paintings in this park. Count it, 90, 8 by 10 feet. Okay, that's just part of the story. And the rest of the story is gonna have to wait for another time, but that is a story. All right, so I'm looking over here. There's an awful lot of red brick over there. And where there's red brick, then, of course, I'm liable to put green. Green and aqua, isn't that pretty? Let's do some yellow, too. There. Okay, that's just about enough. Just about enough. Wait, I want to do at least one shock of red. Especially up here at the top, where there probably will be a lot of green, and some green. There'll be some green down here too. So there you go. Wow, it's an unusual composition, isn't it? By the way, this kind of abstract, this category, if you will, of abstract, I call kinesthetic focused abstract. That is, it's very focused on the movements of the artist. You can see how my hands moved in big, broad, sweeping strokes when I made all those marks. So it's kinesthetic abstract painting. not wasting any time, let's go straight into my first whack at drawing. First of all, there's going to be a big, gorgeous oak tree right here. Massive, 150-year-old oak tree right there. A slight incline, I think, in that line. Yeah. And then all of these marks that I'm making right now are just sort of wild guesses. They may turn out to be correct or accurate. They're more likely to turn out to be not quite accurate. All right, we've talked about that quite a bit here on this channel. Oh, and there's another very prominent tree right here. Not as prominent as this one, but pretty significant nonetheless. And then another one just off the edge of the canvas over here. So one of the things that draws me to cityscapes is the very thing that I'm doing right now, which is the interplay between organic and inorganic shapes. And that certainly is what this view in front of me is all about. I don't mean it's all about the light, but anyways, in the drawing arena, it's organic versus inorganic. That's what I really like looking at. Now, one of the big questions I have right at the moment is what the primary light source is going to be. Oh, I'm breaking up really bad in my ear. Am I breaking up in you guys? When I got here, 45 minutes ago, the thing that drew my eye was the sunlight. But as the evening wears on, of course, that's going to diminish more and more. And I will be looking at more and more incandescent man-made light coming out of the windows, and I must decide which of those two I'm going to go with. The sun was lovely. Sometimes you can cheat and try and exaggerate both, but I'm not sure I can do that in this view because the sky is right there. The sun is coming right through these, you know, it's real important, prominent. And I'm just not sure that I can get away with that tricky double light source as I do in fact do sometimes. Now, it would be nice if people would leave their cars parked there all evening. That is not likely to happen. So I have photographs of some of these cars. And besides that, I want to put people walking here. Probably several people, so. Well, that was a lot of very fast drawing there. And it looks to me like I'm fairly close to accurate. All right, and many of you are already on board, I see. Uncle 60 here with us already, and Deborah Von Dusen. Yes, there was a dance class going on. Immediately to my right, I'll show you that. Slight fuzz, yeah. Let me know if this gets better. It did. We can do that for a while until my battery dies. All right. You know, I think this is going to be a better. Oh, I can't decide. I happen to know that. Hello, Monique. I happen to know that many of the windows across the street, let me show it to you again. I happen to know that they in fact are not going to turn on their lights later this evening. So if I turn the lights on for them, of course, which I am certainly free to do, it'll be a little bit of fiction on my part, which again, I'm certainly not above creating a little fiction in my paintings. I'm going to do something slightly unusual. I'm going to go straight to white right now already. That's a little bit unusual. Now the paint, all the colors that I'm painting on top of course, are still wet. So that means that my white paint, of course, is picking up the colors. And that's okay as long as I don't smear it around so that I am creating by default a pastel color. Does that make sense? So little smears are okay, but I don't want to intentionally mix colors on my brushes. All right, so. As I said, I know that I know that some of these businesses. This is a dive bar that specializes in dark lighting and loud music. You know the kind. You know the kind. Loud music and dark lights. So if I turn on lights, it would have to be, I don't know, sometime maybe when the janitor is in there all by himself cleaning up and he has to turn on the lights to clean the place. That's probably the only time the lights are turned on in that place. Oh my. And it's been there for forever. Sell cheap booze, cheap music, and cheap electric bill. In my opinion, if you want my opinion. For cheap people to go and get drunk and listen to loud music. I fear my prejudices might be showing a little bit. Let's just forget I said all that, shall we? After I do some of this white stuff, I am going to do some drawing in pencil. That'll give the white just a couple minutes to dry. So I can get away with as few breaks as possible. I am well into the ugly stage of my painting, and there are people here that don't know me. So this is that fun stage. It used to intimidate me for a little while. Then I got over it. Now it doesn't intimidate me at all. I get a kick out of people thinking I'm a lousy painter at this stage. They say nice things because they want to be nice, but you can tell by the look in their eye that they're really hoping this is not my day job. He's not really very good. I mean, it's kind of modern, I guess. That's what they think. Love it. Beautiful evening. A little bit warm. Cooling down now, thank goodness. It was 89 earlier today when I was sitting up. Just in case you care, you've seen me paint the main street in our city many times. It's called Fayetteville Street, and it's exactly 2 blocks west of us right here. So I am 2 blocks east of the part of town that I paint in very often. Does that make sense? So the Capitol building is 2, 3.5, 4 blocks north, that way, northwest of me. Pencils are fun, aren't they? What you can do. Really fast trees. Especially if you use 2 hands. Yes, there's a dance class happening. It's the guys have taped a bit of like linoleum down to the sidewalk, and they're actually doing break dancing. Big men are doing break dancing, and they're teaching kids steps. They're not having them spin on their head, however. It's just the big boys are doing that. Those, it's like chalk, but it's for my painting. I'm going to move it for you. No, I'm doing a painting of those buildings over there, and the cars, and people walking by. Yeah, I'll probably put several people on the far side of the street over there. All right, more work on this car here. When in doubt, scribble. Paint with your left hand and just make a bunch of marks. See, that's part of the reason you paint with two hands, because your left hand makes marks your right hand would never think of, or vice versa if you're left-handed. When you draw with your wrong hand, you're not quite in control, and that's a good thing. It feels very awkward, of course, because you're used to being in control. But control is the very thing that's biting you in the butt, that is keeping you from being a good painter, is your control and your sense of your addiction to control. Step right up, folks. We have counseling, deep counseling going on right over here. All right, so there's not an awful lot I can do till that dries, but I can read your comments and talk to you guys. Boy. Deborah, never painted in the open air in a park. Always figured I couldn't put in one for the same reason. Yeah. I like painting, as you know, in front of people. That's part of the reason y'all are here, right? And again, one of the ironies of all this about me not being able to paint without you guys is that I'm actually an introvert. Go figure. I can't explain that. Foxhole Willie, I'll still be here when you get back from the store. Yeah, low lighting makes everybody look better. That's correct. Uh-oh. Deborah can't hear a thing. Oh, okay. It's not my fault. Okay, it's you. Whew. All right, and I do have a light here. I'm going to turn it on now. There we go. That looks good enough for now. Okay, and now I'm going to clean off my brushes. And here's this old trick, you know. Drag with big, broad, fast strokes. Drag your brushes through the wet, mostly white paint, although some other colors. And as long as you do it with big, long, bold, fast strokes, it looks good. If you do it slow and small strokes, it looks terrible. So if you do that, drag your brush all the way across. Be energetic, be an athlete. Come on, you can do it. Yep.
Why are you painting?
Because it looks pretty. And
I like it with brown paint.
you like it with brown paint? Yeah. It'll have some brown paint. When I'm done, I'm going to be painting all night. Well, not all night, but
Every night?
I paint someplace just about every night. Yep.
Do you paint?
Not here.
Do you paint in the city?
Well, the sun just came out. Beautiful. Here, since we're taking a break, let me turn you this way so you can see the dancers there. Woo! Wow. Wow. Let's see you do that.
Oh, I thank you.
The guy selling Italian ice over there, I really wish he was selling Italian hot dogs, because I need some supper down here. One little downside about the evening, not complaining, but you know, is it is quite humid out here, which definitely has an impact on the acrylics drying. Okay, since we're still waiting for stuff, I'll let you in on a little operation. I have a little spray bottle here. Every once in a while somebody asks, hey, how come your acrylics don't dry out? Well, they do. The fact that they're in pots, slows down the drying effect considerably, because it slows down airflow and only one surface is evaporating. But still, even so, they still dry. So that's why I carry on with my travel easel, this tiny little bottle of water to spray on the acrylics. Okay. No, it's completely wet. Hey, I've got an idea. No, that won't. I was going to say, how about if we go for a walk? That won't work. I can go a few feet, that's all. Okay, I'll go as far as I can. Maybe when I stop hearing myself, I'll know. So, there's a new building. There's some old buildings. Here's our new park. Woohoo! $13.5 million, which is kind of funny. Just for grass and bushes and one building. Anyway, who am I to explain that? Beautiful sky, eh? And over this way is, we have Wednesday evening, kind of a farmer's market, craft market going on here in Moore Square. That's kind of fun. In the old Raleigh market, the old farmer's market 100 years ago, 100 years ago, that building across the street. So wasn't that fun? Wasn't that jolly? Put you back on your stand and plug you in so your battery doesn't wear down. Well, this guy is pretty strong, actually. He's doing the breakdancing over there. I know, forgive me. I'm going to eat some of my supper. Nature Valley Crunchy Oats and Honey. Free commercial there. Product placement. All right, Harold suggested last night that during these break times, I ask you if you have any questions. We can do a little Q&A. I know you're enjoying listening to me crunch. Believe me, folks. I'm anxious to get painting, but not quite ready. Nope. So more crunching. And we could get hit by rain here. It's typical central North Carolina summer evening. It's going to rain, somewhere within 10 miles of here tonight for sure. There. Watch the dancer. That sure does look painful to me. To an old man, that looks really painful. All right, kid. Almost ready to paint. One swig of my green juice.
Right there in that position, the only thing I can do is just kind of push back. You know what I mean? So, from right here, I want to be like this. I don't want to be like holding my weight, feeling around like that. I want to be looking.
Did I miss a question yet? Hello, Jane. I presume you got your painting, right? I think you told me you did, and forgive me. Good to have you on board. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Glad you enjoyed showing off my painting. Glad you have it, Jane. Thank you. All right. Whew, all right. I think it's dry enough, just barely dry enough to paint. So let's get back to work here.
But that's something that you practice later on at home. Like it's something that you build up. You got to build it yourself over time.
Hang on. Now that I said that, I'm going to give it another minute to dry, because I'm going to take another picture. I'll take several throughout the evening. As the light changes. Yeah, good, nice.
I would never snap a picture, but that's something when you get
All right, back to big brushes again. Warm up here and dark in the middle. I'm not sure what dark means in this case. It's actually everything appears to my eye to be quite brown when I look over there, but the idea of a brown painting does not appeal to my artistic mind, so we'll see. I'm not sure. I think I'll start by doing, when I do that part, and then windows. I think I'll do a layer of blue. In fact, that's it. I'm not going to clean my brushes. I'm just going to straight to ultraviolet, so a cool blue, and a little bit of purple to counteract the yellow that was already on my brushes. And again, anytime that I want this glaze to be particularly light, I mix some medium on the brushes now. I feel like I just completely wiped out all the light stuff, all the yellow stuff that I had a few minutes ago, right? You got that same feeling, right? Okay, so good news is with acrylics, we have a good 40 or 50 seconds to change our minds. Now, of course, here now I'm wiping off not only the blue, I'm wiping off the earlier yellow, of course, too. But that's no big deal. I can come back and add yellow with impunity. Nobody's going to pune me. So it's impune. Never mind. You guys, if there's anybody out there that watches me normally on a regular, anybody out there, and you regulars, you know who you are, who are not yet painting with two hands, what are you waiting for? Okay? That is Thank you. That is one thing. I'll know we're getting somewhere when I see a bunch of you starting to paint with 2 hands. There is no excuse. Now, forgive me if I sound like an old school teacher or something. The proverbial nun wrapping your knuckles with a ruler. I never had a nun that wrapped my knuckles, by the way. I've just heard about it. That's all. All right, that was kind of fun. Let me tell you a little bit about my 2-handed thing. First of all, I didn't even think about painting with 2 hands till I was about 50 something, and I didn't write it down. I forget when I started. 10 or 11 years ago. So that'd mean I was 55, 54, something like that. And all right, while this is drying, I'm going to do some detail drawing with small-ish brushes. And since this is such a small painting, I really am going to use small-ish brushes. Number 2 and a number 3. Purple. What made me start using 2 hands, I had no idea what I was getting into. I did it sort of on a lark. Do you know that expression? I wasn't really very serious about it. I didn't know that it was going to change my life, so to speak. I didn't know it was going to change my painting and so on. It just seemed at the moment like a good idea. I saw Leonardo da Vinci painted with 2 hands, and it's just like a light bulb came on and said, is anybody here paying attention? Why don't more people paint with 2 hands? And then you've heard this story before if you're a regular, forgive me this repeat. And then I looked around at old people, because I wasn't an old person yet at that time. And I looked around and saw, clever boy that I am, it dawned on me that as we age, people tend to lose parts. Arthritis, bursitis, stroke, you name it. So I decided, you know what? I bet it'd be a good idea. I bet it would be a good idea to start using 2 hands so that if you lost parts, you know, something happened to my right hand, my left would be ready to go. So that was a pretty silly reason to start painting with 2 hands. But that was enough to get me started. All right? So, and this is the part I want to tell you. When I first started using 2 hands, I would literally force my left hand to do really stupid things. Like wash the brushes, swish the brushes in the water or the turpenoid or whatever. Does that make sense? Really stupid things. And I want you to know, my left hand did not like doing that. My left hand complained almost all the time. My left hand whined at me. I don't feel like washing the, and I just said, shut up, I'm the boss, clean the brushes. That's what I said to my left hand. The next thing was, I started, hang on here, I need to redraw here a little bit. I started forcing my left hand to gesso the canvas. You understand? White paint, just going like this. And my left hand did not like doing that either. It really didn't. My left hand would whine and say, I don't want to gesso the canvas. I said, shut up. I'm the boss. Gesso the canvas. And then at the same time, I started forcing my left hand to participate in, even after washing the brushes and gessoing the canvas, I would force my left hand to paint. And of course, it really didn't like painting. And it would whine at me, I don't want to paint. And I would say, shut up. I'm the boss here. Paint. And my left hand would whimper and paint. Not very well. Not nearly as consistently as it does now. But I said, we're going to train this sucker how to paint. The sucker being my left hand, of course. So I did that for several years. That went on for quite a long time. The whimpering, whining left hand. I remember exactly where we're staying, 2 blocks straight west of here on Fayetteville Street, which is, I painted there a lot, as you can tell. I remember exactly where I was standing under the, at the time it was the CP&L building. It was during a festival. Lots of people around, I was painting. And suddenly, it dawned on me that I'd been painting for several minutes with my left hand. That's right. That's right. It was talking like my hands like it was a puppet. I had been painting for several minutes with my left hand, and I hadn't noticed. That was a day of significant breakthrough and much rejoicing. Because at that day, I went, oh my goodness, I am finally an ambidextrous painter. And I think it was about 3 years in. Now, it would not take somebody, a real determined person, 3 years. I mean, if you injure your dominant hand, you know, your secondary hand will kick into gear in no time, a matter of months, and your second hand will be chugging right along. But so I'm not telling you that it should take 3 years for that to happen. That's just how long it took for me, being a sluggard. So there you go, and I tell you that story because some of you're allowing the discomfort of secondhand painting. I've never used that term before. That's good. That's a good line. Secondhand painting. Clever boy that I am. Never thought about it till right now. Many of you are allowing the discomfort to short circuit your secondhand adventure. And so I want you to know that it didn't happen easy or fast. But, great big but. Here's that. Before we leave this subject, I must tell you, and this is really important. Here's a really important detail. Even though my left hand was lousy and it was uncomfortable, I was uncomfortable using it. Listen to this. My painting improved instantly. My painting improved instantly when I began incorporating my second hand. So that's why I'm urging you all to follow suit and to begin. Not because it'll take 3 years, but because your painting will get better today. If you start painting with 2 hands today, your painting will improve. So there you go. And I used to be a lot more easygoing. Well, this is kind of fun. Here, let me turn you around for a minute. Whoops. There's a whole bunch of cyclists. Can you see them? Whoop. Can you see them? All those bicycles going by? And there's a bunch more still that didn't make it through the light. Haha. That's kind of fun. 100 bikes, I would guess. Hang on, time out again for another photograph. The lighting is, in fact, I'll turn you around so you can watch this scenery with me while I take a photograph, looking right about like that. So I sort of want to take a picture at each stage of the evening. That make sense? There, sweet. I like that. That looks pretty good. And I think that the inside window light is going to eventually. Hello, Jody Wahab. Did you get my answer today about what kind of paint I'm assuming you did. Trust you did. I ordered that through Jerry's Autorama, but I think you can get it through a lot of different companies. I think outlets, I should say. Oh, I was starting to say, I used to be a lot nicer about this two-handed thing, and I used to say, "Oh no, it's just one of my little idiosyncrasies, and you don't need to do it," and so on. And I always say now, it's too bad you missed me back when I was nice. Better luck next time, because now I'm not so nice about it. Now I'm a better teacher. I'm going, heck no. And here is part of my rationalization why I'm not as nice as I used to be. Is simply this one realization. Think about it. Every musician you know, unless you know a harmonica player who wears one of those things around his neck, harmonica neck. Every musician you know uses two hands, and nobody thinks a thing of it, right? Now, how come that every musician can play with two hands, but no artist you know can paint with two hands? How come? Who gave the artists the pass? Huh? Well, it certainly wasn't Da Vinci or me. Somebody else said, "Oh no, you're art teachers." Just because nobody does it, that's all. But I think we should change that. It would make me happy if when I rest my head and when I go a-mouldering in my grave, which hopefully won't be this week or next, it would satisfy me just a little bit to know that tens of thousands of people around the world now paint. Now it's the commonly accepted thing to paint with two hands. Just like all musicians use two hands. All good baseball players. Well, that's not true. All good basketball players. Some baseball players. Some baseball players. And all good basketball players shoot with two hands. Dribble with two hands. Do everything with two hands. All right? Got the point? So there you go. That's why I'm not nice anymore. Because it's like, what? There's all kinds of other endeavors, human endeavors, where people use two hands with great coordination. By the way, somebody this afternoon said that when I painted, I looked like a conductor conducting an orchestra. I didn't say anything about it at the time. Funny you should say that. If I had time for a hobby in my life, which I don't, my work is my hobby. David, when it's abstract, yeah. If I had time for a hobby, it would be either choral conducting or orchestra conducting. And that might sound really weird to you, except unless you knew my family. Okay, how many of my siblings are conductors? 1, 2, 3. 3 of my siblings, maybe 4. That's not their full time, but they do in fact conduct. And I've been a conductor many times. Anyway, I'm okay. Arrogant warning, arrogant alarm. David, cover your ears. I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to conducting. My dad, our father, was an excellent conductor. Part of his funny story, he was in the Royal Canadian Air Force Band in World War II, and he was slated to become the conductor of the Royal Canadian Air Force Band in Canada when the war ended and they shipped him home. So, good news, he got to come home. Bad news, he didn't get to be the conductor of the Royal Canadian Air Force Band. So we come from a long line of conductors, and at least a short line. At least our father. Anyway, there was somewhere I was going with that, and it is this. So I'm a conductor snob. Not many people that you see on TV conducting are terrible conductors. And you know, I'm going to make turn you into a snob too. Do you know how to tell a terrible conductor in one easy lesson? It's real easy. If they do the same thing with both of their hands. Here's a bad conductor. That is a piss poor, lousy conductor. Now, he might be good at other things. He's just not good at conducting. Do you understand? So it doesn't mean he's a bad leader of the band or orchestra, but he's a lousy conductor. A good conductor is doing different things. So it gets back to that ambidextrous thing again. A good conductor is ambidextrous. A bad conductor is, monodextrous? I'm not sure what the word is, where it is. There you go, just a little bit of interest. And my chance to be a snob again. Okay, snob warning is over, or arrogant warning is over. But that makes sense, doesn't it? It's really not that hard to discern. A good conductor is doing different things with a hand. By the way, a bad conductor is also flailing his arms around, looking like he's trying to bring his 747 in for a landing. Oh boy. Now I should start telling you which ones are good and which ones are not. All the good ones that I know are dead. Eugene Ormandy, George Zell, Leonard Bernstein. They were all very good conductors. What the heck? I'm going to keep right on going. I'm going to do light again. Oh man. I told you I know some of these businesses across the street. This is just too funny. I've got to show you. I think the poorhouse is open, but you've got to see. Here's the poorhouse. I think all the lights we see in those windows are reflected from out here. I don't think there's a single light on inside that building. But I don't know if it's open or not. But you wouldn't never tell, because that's how it looks when it's open. As opposed to this fine establishment next door. See, now there we go. Or even further, that's what restaurants are supposed to look like when they're open, okay? Let's start a protest, shall we? Let's start something to tell. Let's send a message to the poorhouse and say, put fake lights in your windows shining outward to make our city more beautiful. What do you think about that? How far would we get with that? Anyway, and that's the main building in my painting. So, oh. By the way, for what it's worth, I feel the same way about our North Carolina State Capitol building. When I'm dreaming, when I'm dreaming, I'm painting. And my wife actually wakes up every morning with bruises all over her body. And we can't figure out what's happening. It is a pleasant evening out here, though, I must admit. You know what, hang on. I should have done this just a minute ago. I need to, even though the poorhouse is in darkness, I think there's probably about 50 poor houses around the country, frankly. P-O-U-R. Got it? So clever. And then the building next to it here is actually an office building. Again, I have long history. I was here when this building was empty, and then somebody bought it. Long story. Maybe I'll get into it someday, but not today. I'll save that for another time. Some of you might have missed just a little bit of a teaser here. I'm standing in Moore Square, a park in downtown Raleigh that has just been refurbished, refinished. Okay, in case you're new here, let me turn you around so you can see our wonderful park. I'm going to paint for a few minutes without you looking, okay? Isn't that nice? And nice shot at the top of my head there. Free shot of the top of my head. Anyway, I have a long and illustrious history with this park. Started in 1998 or 99. I used to bring my big equipment. Well, it's actually before. No, the predecessor to my big equipment. My big equipment you can see on my website, dannelsonart.com. Right on the front page, scroll down where I start talking. I actually have a picture of my big equipment. My big easel, by the way, some of you don't know this. My large easel weighs 1,000 pounds, fits in a trailer. It's 15 feet tall, 12 feet wide, 20 feet deep. Rock and roll sound, theatrical lighting, built-in generator, airbrush, tanks, etc. Okay, that's a long story. It's something some of you don't know about that at all. That's my big easel. Okay, enough of that. Let's go back to painting. Pretty park though, huh? Oh, and pretty sky. Let me show you the sky while we're here. Whoops, it's got my light right in the way here. There we go. Isn't that nice? Sweet, sweet. I do like downtown, and I do like this park, and I do like that they have fixed it up. Back when I was here, it was quite the derelict place. I had it all to myself. Because I was one. No, I was going to say because I was one of the derelictees. That is not true. Although I did look like one at the time. I had a ponytail. In fact, I was growing out a ponytail during that season. And the only thing worse than having a ponytail is making a ponytail. No, I'm kidding. I loved having a ponytail, and I would have one to this day if my follicles would support it, which clearly they don't and won't. So with my predecessor to my big equipment, which you can see on my website, that weighs 1,000 pounds, etc. I started painting 8 by 10 foot paintings down here in this park in 1998. That led to a whole bunch of other things, and that's why I've done approximately 90, no less than 90 8 by 10 foot paintings in this park. I used to paint on vinyl, in case you're wondering where all those paintings are now. They were all done on vinyl and washed off from week to week. I would do an 8 by 10 foot painting and take it back to my office, which was an old farmhouse out in the country at the time, and hose it down, hose it and scrub it down. Bring it back the next week and do it all over again. Now some of you are curious. That's part of the reason, for what it's worth, it's part of the reason why I'm so comfortable doing large paintings. I practiced 90 times before I did my first 8 by 10 foot painting on canvas. The first 90 were on vinyl. No, there's a ridiculous bit of fiction going on here. because I just have this, like Thomas Kincaid, I have the lights blaring out of this building, when in fact I just showed you the building is absurdly dark. But I think I've made the right decision. I'll do a secondary light source. Will be up here, the twilight, a sun peeking over the top of this building up here. Oh boy. Are we having fun yet? You betcha. The most important aspect of a painting, don't be confused by the essence of good painting. The essence of good painting, which is a verb, the act of painting, the essence of good painting is making interesting marks. But the most important aspect of a painting, a noun, is play of light. Play of light, play of light, play of light. I could be silly and say the three most important parts of a painting are play of light, and play of light. It's not literally true, but it makes a point, doesn't it? Kind of like location, location, location. Makes a point.
That's why you out here, huh?
That's right there that I'm doing it. I'm thinking of headlights. This is a one-way street going this way, so all the cars are pointing in the same direction. And that's some headlight action happening right there. And we can see just a bit of the sidewalk along here that these people are walking on. You could tell those are people, couldn't you? Yeah, cicadas. Can you hear them? I know you can, obviously. Oh, the people are gone. I'm going to turn my music on here in a bit, just for what it's worth, which may not be much, but help color the atmosphere just a little bit. Well, when I got here an hour and a half ago, the park was quite full. As you can see, it's cleared out pretty well. I'm a last man standing kind of thing. I'm so used to that. It's not even funny. Actually, there are people still over there by the hamburger stand. Speaking of which, I need to take a break and go get a hamburger at that stand. That looks nice, doesn't it? I've been just not paying much attention, just painting away. Oh, you can paint a little bit more. I said not paying attention, which is dangerous, by the way. It's not a good idea to talk and paint too much and forget what you're doing. That's an easy mistake for me to make. I'm distracted by all you fine folks. See, I knew I'd figure out a way to make this your fault. I knew there'd be some way I could blame somebody. You know, I'd be a good painter, but all these people keep interrupting me. Yeah, I'm going to keep going. Why quit? I will quit in a little while and go get a hamburger, as I said, but not yet. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Looking good.
Thank you.
How long is it taking you?
Oh, I forgot to look
Like
at the
today?
time. Oh, my. Less than an hour.
Really?
Maybe an hour. These people could tell me. How long have I been painting, y'all? When did I start? Oh, wait, my first comment, hang on, I'll tell you in a second. I started at 6:37.
Wow. You're
1
fast.
hour.
That's fun.
Thank you.
You do this often?
I do all the time. This is my job. I'm famous. Here, you want my card?
Really? Yeah. You're famous.
I'm being silly. Yeah, that's right. That's the right response. If I was really famous, you wouldn't need my card,
Oh,
right?
right.
Oh, look at the light just got gorgeous. Hang on. We just got a blush of evening light just swept over the scene. Isn't this nice?
What type of style do you call that?
Well, it's far from finished. It'll obviously be realistic. I call it abstract realism
Okay.
because the everything, the brush strokes, the texture, the color, the composition, everything is more important than the realism, but the realism I want to be dead on. Except, as you can see, I'm turning lights on in the poorhouse, which there are never lights on in the poorhouse.
Sell it to those businesses.
Yeah, that would be nice.
You should.
I will try, believe me.
I want to watch your stroke.
Yeah, please do. So back to big stuff, big brushes. Let's do that. Let's do that warm thing again that we did a while ago. It has a lot more impact now that I'm doing it on top of white. Isn't that nice? Oh, you're welcome to agree when I'm talking to those people. Just guess what? A real woman walked up and is talking to me, friends. Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Sorry, you guys. You're used to me being a smart, you know what? Poor innocent people come by. They don't know that I'm going to be a smart, you know what, Adam? So, I need my mother here to make me behave. Let's do some more glazing. Way up here at the top, I want some barely blue sky just peeking through up there. That might be too much, but I'll leave it that way for now. It is really getting dark out here now. In a little while, I won't be able to see anything over there. I'll be painting everything either from memory or from the photographs that I've been taking. I'm always sorry to see the light go because I really like painting from real better than from photographs, but can't be helped. Hello. Thank you. Yeah. By the way, I hope those of you who would say, along with me, that I paint good, I just wish I was looser, right? That's where most of us are at. I do, at sometimes, I do hope you're paying attention. You know, so how do you paint loose? Well, you just saw me taking either 3-inch, 4-inch brushes down there, or 1- and 2-inch brushes. And like while I'm painting this grass, my brush went all the way up here. I'm painting grass, but my brush went up here. I'm painting grass, my brush went all the way up to here. I'm painting, you know, sky, but my brushes come down. Right? So kind of, yeah. Don't look at me like that and say, yeah, that's what I do. Now some of you do, I understand, but you know what I mean? Don't pretend, oh yeah, that's what I do. Take note and say, wow, that's crazy. I don't do that. Because the fact is, I know most of you don't. You're working on it, and some of you do, but most of you don't.
So how will you sell that painting?
Well, I've got a clipboard right behind me on the stool with a bid sheet, and you're welcome to place a bid if you want.
I think we did this before. Do you do this?
Yes,
Art Explosion?
I do, absolutely.
Yeah,
Have you? Oh, good. Have you? You've. Yeah, you got it. You got it. And if you just want to have fun and place a bid, anything up to $500 is just for fun. 500 or over
Starts at 0.
might be serious. But so if you just want to play the game, which I absolutely welcome, I really do. The other day I was out painting and some young man came along, he put a bid of $50. It didn't bother me a bit. It's like, thank you, man. It's, you know, it's like at an auction. You know, the auctioneer starts at 1,000, and then nobody bids, so it comes down to 50, and then it works back up.
I think that's what we did. I think you were doing it, and we started a bit and got it up there. Started it high.
Well, thank you very much. So if you've seen my work, and yeah, take a card so you know what my finished things look like. There, you're doing almost serious.
Almost.
There.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you,
we
ma'am.
got it started.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is it online or something?
No, this
Okay,
just here.
so I'd have
I
to
mean,
come back.
I'm broadcasting online,
Okay.
so just go to YouTube and do a search for Dan Nelson.
Dan Nelson. Awesome.
But I have your phone number. If I decide I might want to take 400, you have the option of refusing. Okay.
I won't refuse.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks. Appreciate it. This is going right quickly. I think I'm ready. Ooh, and the light keeps changing, but it's still pretty out here. Isn't that pretty? Thank God for our beautiful city. Do you live nearby? That's nice. Yeah, I think I'm ready to do one more layer of white, and then I'm ready to go to oil. Yahoo! At this point, so I've been going an hour and 10 minutes, right? Something like that. Yeah. At this point, it always feels like, man, I am zooming right along. And then you know what happens, right? After a while of zooming, I hit a bump. The brakes lock up and go, and everything slows down. I guess I wasn't as fast as I thought I was. I just start paintings really fast, don't I? I start paintings really quickly. Yeah, she just walked past. So
Did you go to Calvin? 'Cause
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
you were at that get together a couple of years ago.
Are you serious? What's your name
Yeah,
again?
Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Yeah,
How
I followed you on
fun.
Facebook, that's how I
Hi, I'm
remember.
Dan.
This is my husband.
I'm Brandon. Good to meet
Hi,
you.
Brandon. Good, good to see you guys again. How fun. We keep talking, but I have to keep painting. How fun. Yeah. What a funny introduction. Nobody's asked me that before. Did you go to Calvin? Yeah, that's right. Wow, that's great. So now we're graduates of a university, right?
Yeah, there you go.
I know. We got upgraded. We were just in Grand Rapids last week.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Oh, what fun.
It was like, happy University.
This is a great time to go to Michigan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's so nice up here.
Perfect weather.
Come November, we'll come back down here.
That's right. My parents are doing that.
Are they? Yeah. Yeah.
Half here and
Are they really?
yeah,
Yeah.
they're coming back in November.
Yeah. Well, that's fun. So good to see you guys.
Wish I had money to buy a bookmark.
You can have a book. Bookmarks are free to Calvin grads.
I have $1.
Well, it's
Gotta respect
okay.
the
You can get two bookmarks for $1, one for each of you. You're welcome. Yeah, they come with rules. There's a rule.
Really?
You have to read a book.
Okay. I got that
But,
covered.
but you're Calvin grads. I mean, I doubt that's not an issue.
NC State grad, but we'll
Oh, okay. There we go.
got married into the Calvin family.
There you go. Really? So where did y'all meet? Down here?
Here, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Your parents let you move south?
Oh, I'm
She
from
started out.
Greensboro.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. You went north to school.
I went north to
Gotcha. Okay.
There's not many Southerners at Calvin,
No, there are not. No.
as I found out.
I was born in Canada, and there are a lot of Canadians at Calvin,
Oh, yeah.
aren't there? Still a lot of Canadians. When you were there? Yeah.
Yep. Where are you from in Canada?
Pardon?
Where are you from in Canada?
The civilized part.
Ontario?
Yuck. Yeah. Toronto.
Oh, I want to go there.
The Toronto area. I mean, don't get me wrong. The rest of Canada has some gorgeous country. You know, Calgary and Edmonton and all that stuff, it's crazy. But you can't exactly call it civilized.
That's a good thing, though.
They do have internet, I imagine, up there now, but
Yeah, my mom's from Canada, though.
they probably have more snowmobiles than cell phones.
Pretty though.
It is gorgeous, yeah. Yeah, right. That is where you want to go.
I've been to Vancouver Island.
Have you? Oh, I've been to everywhere almost except the Yukon Territory and Vancouver Island. I've been all across everything else, just about. Okay, thanks for stopping by. Good to see you.
Awesome.
Okay, car headlights again. You just make a big scribble and then come in here and carve out some of the shapes out of that scribble. There we go. And then some reflection. Whoops, we lost sound? No, okay, we're back. Let me look at what you guys are saying here for a minute. "50 degrees, that's chilly, David." I'm famous, you want my card? Thanks, Barbara, thanks for laughing. Jody bidding $50, thanks, man. Deborah Van Duzen, I should have asked you. You know, I often ask people with a Dutch name, I said, so what part of Western Michigan are you from? And just about 40% of the time I'm correct. They look at me like, what? Because I grew up in Grand Rapids too. How about that? There are a few Van Duzens. You were not the only Van Duzen in your class, right? In fact, half the class was Van something, right? Sorry. Yeah, I think I'm going to let this go. I'm going to hint at a building up there, but I might actually save that for the oil phase, the oil stage of the painting. It's a little bit unusual for me to do that, but I don't know, it feels right for some reason tonight on this painting. All right, I am going to take a break. Sorry about that. David, I just slandered Quebec, didn't I? Not only is Quebec civilized, it's like the old civilized part of Canada. Oh boy. Yeah, the Van Dusen kind of gives it away. All right, you guys. I'm sorry about this short break. I sure hope that hamburger stand is still open. They might close at 8, so I'm going to run. How do you store your paintings when you leave? Are they dry enough to transport? Oh yeah, no. Hey gang, thank you for hanging in there. I hope my sound's okay. It seems to be breaking up a little bit today for some reason. So I enjoyed my hamburger and my peach milkshake. I was being a really good boy and not ordering anything naughtier than a hamburger. And then my eyes were cast upon the sign that says peach milkshake, and I'm sorry, it just sounded so good. I do burn up a lot of calories when I'm out here painting like this. That's my excuse. So welcome back. Those of you who are watching this later, I know It sounds crazy for me to say welcome back because that break took precisely 0 seconds. But anyway, for those who are watching live, I've been gone for 25 minutes or so. All right, back to work. And Yahoo, it's time to transition to oils. So I guess I'm going to start. I was not sure. Well, I'm going to start with oxide red with a little bit of Indian yellow and a little bit of orange. That's fairly common color combination for me. This canvas, by the way, is and it's right at the painful edge of small for me. I really don't like going any smaller than this. Don't particularly like painting this small, but you know, one thing is very true about small paintings: you can do them more quickly than large ones. It has been proven. It has been scientifically demonstrated by me and a whole bunch of other people. It actually does take more time to do big paintings. It's not a straight line though, it's a curve. You know, it doesn't go straight up. So per square inch, of course, large paintings are faster than small ones. Generally speaking, of course, you know, we really can't generalize because we don't know what style of painting we're discussing, right? All right, let's get this tree considerably darker, although not too dark. I don't want anything approaching black. That would be horrible, but I do want it, yeah, about like that, I think. And likewise, a little more vignette action up here in this corner. And in this corner too, sure. I am fighting a cold these days. I'm sorry for my sniffling in your monitor, sniffling in your ear. Is it dark enough? No, it's not quite. I do like the color of this building right here, but it's just a little bit too bright, so light, I mean. A little too light of a value, so let's darken that down a little bit. The building in real life actually is a pale green. This building all the way up to here, and then this building is medium yellow brick. This building is medium red brick, so that's a little too purple now. So let's anti-purple it with some oxide red, which is an orangish brown, right? It's called oxide red, but it's orange brown, right? You know that. Like, very similar to burnt sienna. Now, I've pretty much ignored, there's actually a parking deck back here. And I haven't, and very, very unusual for me, I decided to save the rendering of the parking deck essentially till the, hello, hello gang. That's a stack of bookmarks. That's what that is. All stuck together. No, I said bookmarks, I meant business cards.
Business cards. Oh.
Yeah, there we go. Just subtle indication. It'll get more clear. All right, I think all I need to do next is lift out, rag out. Oh, that rag's too wet. I don't want to do it with a wet rag, so forgive me just a second. There we go. Hello. Thank you. Let's use my left hand just because I get nervous if I get too right-handed in my painting. I fear that I'm painting poorly. Isn't that weird? I talked about two-handed painting a while ago. I didn't mention that. Here's one. Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you do like a picture of a family? Like can
I
you
do.
paint-
Yes, I do. Here. You can look at my website and give me a call or a phone or a text or an email. Yeah. One of the ironies. That was funny. Started out to say ironic things, then decided ironies is a better word, so I said ironies. One of the ironies of painting with two hands is that if I paint with only my main hand, my right hand, I suspect that I might not be painting very well. Whereas if I keep my left hand engaged, I feel like I'm probably painting well. Isn't that funny? Well, hang on, let me think about this. Yeah, okay, my first impulse was the right one. I'm going to, by the way, I have now, let me show you the scene that I'm painting now. So the scene doesn't look much like this at all, but it's about like that is what I'm painting. Oh, not quite, doesn't go. Actually, that looks quite nice. I'm going to stop and take another picture. But I'm not painting the current lighting, but I do want to take a picture of that. So forgive me. Scene. Wow. That is the beautiful scene. Beautiful lighting is what I'm saying here. Not the lighting I'm trying to capture in this, but could very well. Is the photograph that I'm painting from. The fuzz layer next. Was this afternoon, and I talked. Thank you. That's no problem. No. But I did a. Thank you. This afternoon at home. I talked quite a bit sometimes you get along. And quite fetch. Much of the, but this one is not leaning because it's far away from the edges. Anyway, so that's one trick, is make the, secondly, and I don't know how well you can see this. Can you see the, let me move you in. You guys are, how'd you get so far away? Don't be shy, come on, come right up here. You can see some of the texture, right? So whenever, and this is slightly realistic, I've just exaggerated it. You see how the bark twists as if the tree to my left, but I've exaggerated it greatly. Why? Again, buckle your seatbelt. Arrogant warning, because I'm good at painting. Just giving you 2 key tips. Do not forget them. If you're doing a big tree near the edge of the painting, make the tree lean, even if it's not leaning in real life, right? For not putting a twist in the bark, which is conceivable, but generally speaking, your default setting, if you will, should be spiral in bark. Why? Just because it's I am really looking forward somewhere, probably in my car somewhere, and doing what I call figure drawing, to draw the human figure. Even if you don't do figures in your art, you still should be able to do figures, even if you don't do them. Did you hear that? All artists, if you do cityscapes, you have to be able to do cars. And I've gone out, what I call figure drawing cars. Drawing cars in keenly. I feel my own inadequacy in drawing cars very keenly. I don't have I do not feel the same arrogance about cars that I do about trees. Part of the reason is because trees look the same today as they did when I was a kid. And that reality bites me in the butt, so to speak, when it comes to drawing cars. I still tend to draw them way too boxy because that's what they looked like when I was a young. You know, other than as an artist, I don't pay much attention to cars now. I don't care about cars. Whereas a kid, I did. Nice shot of my bald head. There we go. People. Now, let's. Supposed to do. Oh, you know what? Hey, man.
God bless you, my brother.
Thank you.
My name is Kenneth.
Yes.
I live in South Wilmington Street.
Yeah.
I just left Valley Rescue Mission right here.
Uh-huh.
Because I thought I'd get a bed there, and these people just told me that it has to be a national weather advisory or I gotta be a part of a program. Got that from me. But,
Yeah, good for you.
The lady was nice enough to call A&E for me which you may even call, they're verified. They have 4 beds, and they
Good.
charge you $9 a night.
Uh-huh.
But they're saying people are taking advantage of that, so they don't do it.
Right.
But she's gonna put him in bed for 1 hour, and she said if there's anything to my name, it's for 20 minutes.
No, I don't think I have anything. I'm sorry, buddy. I do not. I'm sorry. Sorry, man.
I sleep outdoors. I can't believe it.
I know. Bless you.
God help me, please.
Yes.
Somebody.
Amen. Somebody will. A couple of people back there. How are we doing over here? We transmitting okay? I think we are. Handle these pencils. I shouldn't even need to say it, but let me be clear that the pencils serve 2 functions, a primary function and a secondary. The secondary function is accurate drawing, right? Does that make sense? Sure. Okay. And that explains my what should appear to you is to be rather spasmodic of drawing, right? You should be going, that's weird. Boy, he draws really weird. Because again, the texture is more important than a real drawing, so to speak, out of the pencil marks is, of course, a great benefit, especially down here in the cars. I kicked you. All right, next step. Pretty simple. Yeah, I mean it's a part of my normal routine. Next step is okay, so more drawing. We're to draw twice in a row. That's a little bit unusual because usually in the dance of painting, you don't do the same. To say I'm doing small marks, pencil, dark marks, small dark marks, followed by small dark marks. So it's a little bit quite the opposite direction. So in a way, this is quite redundant. Well for me. And the one thing I need to make sure, now that I'm doing this, and I'm going to make this bluer, I'm using a dark, muted colors. With this layer, is that all of my darks are in place, okay? I mentioned this afternoon when I was broadcasting, is that each step of my painting process, I focus on just one problem, if you will. Here, accurate drawing, and everywhere else, some accurate, and of course then just interesting texture. Now my focus is to be able to stand back, look at my canvas and say, yep, everything that is dark is not at all uncommon for me to cheat. Later in the painting process, I go, whoops, well, I thought okay to screw up and cheat, but the goal, the concept here is that at the end, somewhat darker than they are. So let's get them. Car back here is caught in the headlights of the car driving through. So it's a hint of darkness where the wheels is and so forth. Same thing here with the car itself. Again, with this layer, focusing a little bit on, but my primary concern, again, is that I want to try to get all the darks necessary so that from this point onward, I used to, like this and paint, set up my easel anywhere, in town or country, wherever. Every painting I started, pretty much. It'd be one outing, one painting. Got it? I think the first 100 weddings that I did, 99, maybe 98. If you want to do the math, 98 or 99 of them, I finished at the reception. The last 25 days here in the last year or so, I no longer finish my paintings. Option is that I'm older and slower. Just in case you're wondering, that is an option I refuse to countenance. At this point, I've slowed down. But no, that is, I do not buy that at all at this point. The fact is, and you know this, you regulars know this, a painting would entail 12 layers, 10, 11, 12, 13 layers. Now a painting entails my painting has indeed slowed down. Being a pretty hardworking painter, that is an accusation I will good old, Protestant Calvinistic work ethic, no doubt at work. So I got a joke in a minute, but I'll save that for a second. The real reason for that is because I worked so many years as a freelance illustrator. And I just did an illustration job last week. Some of you might have seen me do the Compson storyboards. They act for you how the freelance illustration life works. Okay, you're sitting in your studio, the phone rings. That's in Charlie Brown Mother voice. That is an art director from NA. If he had any sense, he would laugh when he said that, because he knows I'm busy. But anyway, he was just being polite and making small talk. And then he said, oh, about 20, hello, about 20 or 25 frames. Sorry, I keep kicking you guys. Oh. Let me leave a chat. I am in. Is my broadcasting doing poorly? Well, my monitor is. Hang on, let me. Be a freelance illustrator. The phone rings. We need 24 to 30 drawings by, because this is a fun story. I enjoy telling it. That's what it's like to be a freelance illustrator. And if you want to be a busy freelance illustrator, you always say yes. And so I was a busy illustrator. I virtually always said yes. Make sense? So I learned how to work hard because kind of work ethic over into the fine arts world. And I find that most fine artists, not all, some are. I'll point to my friend Dan Beck in Wilmington and Mike Rooney. Those guys have worked. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, thank you. But I have, honestly, I only have to think. And try to change channels, okay? All right, y'all, let's see if this is any better. I just changed Wi-Fi channels, so to speak. So let's see if that's any better, okay? Let me know. My ear monitor seems to be okay, so that's a little troubling because usually I can hear it when it's bad. Oh, there's my wife. Oh, I'm always witty. Hey.
I've never had a bit of
I know, we should take a walk and look around here, but let me get you on camera first. Nancy's here. Whoopee! Say hi to Nancy, everybody. Jolie, let's see if it's better now that I switched channels, as I say. Thanks.
Yeah.
I actually have drink. Is that water?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I'd love some water. Thanks. I just finished a peach milkshake.
Oh, there's an amphitheater here. Maybe there. I'm gonna go walk around a little bit and I'll come back.
There is, sort of.
Okay.
It's a little tiny amphitheater slash children's playground right on the other side of there.
All right, I'll be back.
Yeah, look around. So Nancy also, as you can imagine, has a very rich and interesting history with this park, Moore Square, so she wants to go look around as well. It's just freshly reopened after 2 years of reconstruction. All right, so I am still in the midst of doing doing dark details in oil, making sure that I have adequate darkness. How's my signal doing? Thanks, David. Yeah, thanks for saying hi to Nancy. I'll pass that on to her when she gets back. When I find myself, by the way, doing large areas of darkening large areas like I'm doing down here, I realize I made a bit of a mistake. Just a bit, not disastrous, but a bit of a mistake in the acrylic stage, because the acrylics are supposed to get me close to all the proper values. Ooh, I have a different brand of oxide red here. Let's see how I like it. This is Old Holland. Very excellent, high quality. People ask me all the time what brand paints I use, and the joke that I usually say is whatever's on sale. There's a little bit of truth to that, but the real truth is I'm just always experimenting, because you never know when you might stumble on one color, a particular color in a particular brand that you like better than the color that you had been using, or the brand that you had been using in that color. Does that make sense? Like I love my Charvan oxide red, but I was in the art store, evidently, not too long ago, and I decided, let's try some Old Holland oxide red, because that's how you discover things. I suppose you can discover it from a teacher who tells you to. That's okay, it's legal. It's not as fun. What's the fun of having somebody tell you where all the stepping stones are if you can just fall into the water yourself? I don't know where that analogy came from, but it came anyway. So as I promised earlier, this parking deck garage up here behind everything is becoming, as you can see, more and more visible. Now you're saying, oh, so that's where it is. I wondered where that was. Or you might have said, I wondered what that was. That'd be okay to say that too. Here's a trick. I don't think I've ever mentioned this. Every once in a while, if you want your brushes to lay down lines for a longer time, like I do this in branches often, dip your brush in the turpenoid, in the cleaner, whatever, turpenoid or Gamsol is what I'm using these days. And it just, you don't want to overuse. So in a sense, I'm using Gamsol as a medium, which generally speaking is a no-no, but you can get away with it in limited amounts, okay? Yes, you can get away with it, as long as you don't get carried away with it. But it allows for a much longer fluid stroke. The paint continues to flow off the brush if what's on the brush is wet. Does that make sense? Of course it does. Okay, stop. Telling myself stop talking that. They got it. I don't know. I'm stopping, I'm ending, I'm done with that. Whew. Moving right along. then it is time for scratching my nose, actually. That's not what I was going to say, honestly, though. I was going to say time for final edit, the most important and the slowest layer of the painting process. The final edit used to be my last layer. My evolution has taken me down various paths, and now my final edit, unless I'm like in a time crunch, like a wet canvas competition or something, my final edit is no longer my final layer, because I almost do now a separate and distinct broken color layer after the final edit. And even worse, so to speak, I now almost always, if I can, if I have the luxury, I come back on a second day when all of this is dry and repeat the last 3 or 4 steps, which are glaze, dark details, light highlights, and then I'm done. So if I do all of those, that's glaze, dark details, light details, that's at least 4 more layers after the final edit. So that's part of the reason why I don't finish as fast as I used to, because, and it's well worth, to me, I'm quite happy for this evolution, because my paintings are noticeably better, in my opinion, than they used to be. So I'm a lot more happy about that than I am, say, disappointed that my paintings are taking longer. I'm sure you can understand that sentiment. The final edit layer, I used to call it, and this is still an appropriate description, I used to call it light opaque highlights, which again is certainly an appropriate name. So whereas the fuzz layer a little while ago was translucent, what I'm doing now is more really and truly opaque, although a lot of what I call opaque is actually not opaque. So, but it's much more opaque than the fuzz layer was. It's not opaque because you can actually see through many of these strokes that I'm putting down. You can still see what's underneath just a little bit. I'm going to play a little Jeremy Sam's game. I like naming some of my painting tricks after people that I know. Jeremy is a dear friend. We don't see each other very often, and when we do, he's usually beating me in a competition. So he's one of those I greet him through gritted teeth friends. I'm being facetious, I'm being silly. Jeremy is and I've never said this before, I don't know if I hope he hears this or not, I guess I kind of hope he doesn't, but he is a masterful first half of art journey painter. And I feel like I'm being very fair. And if you look at his stuff, Jeremy Sams, you will agree with me. And he's a very nice guy. Some of the painters that I criticize most vigorously in my broadcasts, like when I criticize hyperrealists, well, one of the best hyperrealists I know on the planet is in watercolor is David Stickle. And he is a dear friend. and he is a hyperrealist, although I must say in his defense, or really not defense, in his to explain a little bit better, he does not mindlessly copy any photographs. He puts together a whole bunch of photographs and he specializes. Boy, that's interesting, isn't it? I got carried away with the Jeremy Sams thing there. Clearly I'm not as good at this as Jeremy Sams is. That's why he keeps beating the tar off me when we meet in competitions. I'm kidding. I think he's beaten me twice. But again, just one of the nicest guys. Young-ish compared to me. And a lovely family, lovely wife. And what gives me the greatest respect for Jeremy and anybody is that he and his wife have been to hell and back. And they are still wonderful people. I think I'll let it go at that. I'm just going to leave it at that. If you want to find out more, you can read his website carefully. Anybody that's been through what they've been through and still can come up and keep breathing, let alone be a positive influence in the world, has my undying respect. By the way, all of this green, oh, here, let me zoom in, I'm sorry. All of the green that you see on this building is leftover from my original underpainting. I had a big, you can still see it up here, a big green swath right, and there's part of it, went all the way down here like this. That's why this building is green at the moment. And I would be a fool to cover up all that green. But I'd also be a fool not to cover up some of it. I'm doing, at the moment, I'm playing a very useful trick. If you don't know this trick, pay attention. I'm going to teach you a good trick right now. It's anytime, and it only works if you're painting in layers. Okay, so this is layer painting. Anytime you can put warm on top of cool or cool on top of warm, it's going to look cool. Okay, so the green here is very cool. It's a very cold green, bluish green. And I'm putting a very warm orange, burnt orange rust on top of it. Literally on top of the green. So but you still let the green show through. You can still see the green. And that is one of the most magical things you can do in painting, is cross the equator from warm to cool, or from cool to warm, either one. From one layer to the next. Go from warm to cool or cool to warm. So this is just fascinating in here, because you can still see the green underneath, even though it's got orange on top. All right? That is not a Jerry Mann trick. That's a Dan Nelson trick. I do still have some of my own. The Jeremy Mann trick is where things, hello, where the sun or bright light wraps around a dark object and it turns color, most often red or orange, but not always those colors. I'm going to leave that up there for now. Well, almost. The mullions in this window are entirely too dark, so let's lighten those up quite a bit. And then after that, now I need to do the light in the windows again. So one thing leads to another, doesn't it? Anybody out there a painter? Did I just describe the frustration of painting? Like, that's an understatement. One thing kind of leads to another. Oh boy, is that true. Boy, is that ever true. All right, I'm at a point now where I'm really tired of working on this area. So even if I'm not finished, which I am essentially finished, but even if I weren't, it is time to move on, because don't stay in any area too long, period. That's a general rule. Don't work in any, and I probably already overdid it by staying in that area too long, but I'm moving on now. And sometimes I wish I could let you get inside. Susan, I see your comments about paintings too dark. So can you just modify your final layer? Can you just add more light? Here's another thought, Susan. Do your painting in a darker light. Like, for instance, this light, can go dim like that. If I had it set like this, then I would create a lighter painting. By the way, you can't get the effect here because the camera that you're set on has auto exposure. So when I make the painting, when I make the light, it just dims back down. Just a thought, Susan. Don't know if that would help or not. Far be it from me to give you any tips on your paintings that I haven't seen. Okay, love some, thanks. No, I have some ginger ale, but.
Beautiful. No wonder I couldn't figure out where on Fayetteville Street we were.
Yeah. Good. I look forward to hearing about your day, your evening.
All right.
Okay. Bye, sweetie. Love you. Bye. There goes my awesome wife. And you just think I'm saying that. If you only knew. I was going to say, sometimes I wish you could get inside my head. Of course, I wish I could get inside of, some other artists whose work I admire greatly. Wish I could get inside their heads. That's what teaching is supposed to be about. Maybe take a break here and show you, for instance, a little while ago I was painting this line up here. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to zoom in just for fun, as close as I can to a part of my painting. I want to just talk about it for a minute. Okay. There we go. That's about as tight as I can get. Right, let me. All right, so I was doing that bright yellow line. And let me just talk to you about what is good painting. And I say this all the time, and I'm way more serious than most people think. They think, oh, I'm just, you know, hyperbole. But no, it's literally true. I am not smart enough to paint good. And forgive me for the bad grammar, it just feels better to say it poorly. I should be saying paint well. I'm not good enough to paint well. Let me go back. I'm not good enough to paint good. I'm not smart enough is what I mean to say. I'm not smart enough to paint good, but I am smart enough to spot some good painting when I see it. There's a big difference. There is a big difference. The reason I paint the way I do, the reason I throw so much chaos onto the canvas in the early stages is precisely because I'm not smart enough to paint good. But I am smart enough to spot some good painting when I see it. And right in this little area right here, let me show you some good painting. That green triangle, that's an artifact left over from hours ago. The very first stroke I put on this canvas was a big green swoosh, and that's what that's a part of. Now, of course, when I did the big green swoosh, I had no idea that this would happen. It wasn't my job to make this happen. It was just my job to make a mess with great panache and freedom, which I did. So then it allows things like this to happen. That's what I mean when I say I'm not good enough to paint good, but I'm not smart enough to paint good, but I'm smart enough to spot some good painting. So that keeps me from covering up. I am going to put a little dot in the corner. That keeps me from covering up that orange. What keeps me? Smartness. Now, and I'm picking on this one green triangle. The same thing is true. There's a slight, and I don't know if you can pick up on this, there's a slight lavender tint right there. Same thing. Orange, lavender, green, brown, red, orange, green, purple, purple, red. I'm sorry, I went off the camera. So green here, purple here. Ladies and gentlemen, that is some damn good painting. I hope my mom's not listening. We're not supposed to say damn. Even though it's a theological term you can read in the Bible. Anyway, I'm being facetious, of course. That is some good painting. And that's also an example of what I mean by when I describe my technique as abstract realism. First of all, you can tell it's realistic painting. You can tell it's realism. It's not, you know, it's not a Picasso-esque abstract, is it? No, not even close. It's a painting of an evening in a city with buildings and buildings and buildings and traffic and trees, right? And people and car and traffic, I already said that, right? So clearly it's realism, right? But that little bit I just showed you up there is a good example of what I mean. Yeah, but it's not primarily about the realism. The realism is honestly just a thinly veiled excuse for magic like that to happen. And I want that kind of, it's happening here as well. I won't move you, but I'll zoom in for a second. It's happening here. Look at that bit of orange and bright yellow and green and just a mud color there and dark green down here. And anyway, I get the idea. I want every inch of my painting to have some of that magic. Now, I don't mean not the whole canvas shouldn't be popping like that. That would be, there have to be rest areas. But even the rest areas, I want to be magical. The beauty of this face of this building is not that it looks like a building. Any old bloke can paint a building. The magic, the beauty in the face, in that wall, is that it's got purple, green, orange, red, orange, brown, green, purple. Now, I'm not done with it yet. I'm going to mess with it some more. it's not the things that you expect. Okay, what I mean is this: if I say to you, or well, if you're 30 feet away from my painting, you're approaching my painting, you could see it. When you're 30 feet away, you can go, oh, cityscape, or something. Or if I tell you, I'm doing a city at evening, okay? The real beauty magic, the gut thumper, the punch you in the gut, the jaw dropper, the oh my God, the transcendent thing that's happening in this painting is not that it looks like a city at evening. Let me say that again. If I tell you I'm doing an evening cityscape, even I tell you I'm doing a row of buildings and traffic at night, the transcendent, gotcha, jaw-dropping, gut-thumping, knee-buckling, transcendent, magic things is everything that's not city at evening with traffic. Do you follow me? That's just another way, everything I'm saying here is just another way of describing first half of art journey versus second half of art journey. People stuck in the first half just can't get that yet. They just don't get it yet. Some never will. That's all right. Maybe they're doing, in fact, you know, what their personal destiny is called them to do. So I'm not ragging on them. But I am glad I'm not one of them. Let it be said. I'm glad, so to speak, and I hate to sound cliche, but I'm glad I saw the light. I am glad 15 years ago I transitioned from first half of art journey, which is painting stuff that looks like stuff, to second half of art journey, which is painting stuff that looks like paint. Color, texture, energy, blah, 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 all those things. Does that make sense? I'm getting rather excited about this particular painting, in case you can't tell. Let me say that again. I've never said it that way before. I want to try to remember this. I tell you, let's change it from this painting. I tell you I'm doing a painting of a bowl, a vase of red roses sitting on a white tablecloth, okay? I've told you what the painting is a picture of. In my world, in my belief, and again, this is the world of Rembrandt, Frans Hals, Boucher, Fragonard, Rubens, Remington, and thousands of others, Rubens, and so on, contemporaries, Richard Schmid, Tibor Nagy, Jeremy Mann, okay, what I call the world of real painting. Now, that's the world I'm in. Now let's go back. If I tell you I'm doing a painting of red roses in a vase on a white tablecloth, all right? And then you approach my canvas expecting to see red roses in a vase on a white tablecloth. You with me? I'm just setting up a scenario here. The things that knock your eyes out, the things that take your breath away, the things that make your knees go weak. I don't know if you've ever had a moment like that, ever, in front of a painting. I hope you have. Most of us don't have them nearly enough. Frankly, it's what we're trying to produce in our paintings all the time, isn't it? The things that take you into another level of life. Frankly, are all the things that are not red roses in vase on white tablecloth. Okay? Never said it before that way. but I'm getting very, very close to some really transcendent realities that defy explanation. If this is a good painting, what is making it good is everything that is not buildings, tree, traffic. And yet, hang on now, we're not done. Because it is obviously buildings, trees, and traffic. And if the building, trees, and traffic are rendered poorly, and that's hard to define. What does poorly mean? I'm going to leave that, let that dangle for a minute. If they're rendered in a manner that leaves the viewer uncomfortable, then the magic doesn't happen. Isn't that crazy? So another way to say that is, if your drawing is not correct, you put no points on the board. You get kicked out of the game. You get red carded, soccer. You get kicked out of the game if the rendering leaves the viewer uncomfortable. But you don't put any points on the board by rendering the thing well. All that does is keep you from getting kicked out of the game. If you're still on the playing field, which means you rendered the thing believably, and that's hard enough, isn't it? What puts points on the board, so I'm using a sports analogy, as you can hear. What puts points on the board is all that other stuff: line, shape, value, design, texture, composition, and so forth. Line, shape, value, design, color, texture. That's what puts points on the board. Screwing up the drawing will get you kicked out of the game, but getting the drawing right doesn't win you any points. Now, in the first half of our art journey, that is not at all true. The first half of our art journey, it's all about learning how to draw right. And happy is the man or woman who actually learned how to draw pretty well as a young person. I'm being influenced right now, by the way, whether I want to admit it or not. Let me turn you for a minute. This green on this building was not an original part of my plan, but let me show you what is influencing me here. Now that the street light has come on, it's a cold white LED street light, and it is showing up the greenness of that building. That doesn't look very green on my monitor, but trust me, it has a slight greenish cast to it. I've exaggerated the greenness a great deal, much to Mark Carter's chagrin. In case you haven't noticed, Mark Carter makes a lot of appearances on my broadcast. He clearly has gotten under my skin. No, I don't mean that in a bad way. I like him very much. I like him partly because he is so ridiculously different from me. A droll fellow be he, in my opinion, but I like him very much. I would love to be his friend. But anyway, he now it's partly because he's just a completely different world than I'm in. And he does not approve of jacking up the saturation in his photos or paintings. My whole paintings, every painting of mine, it's I know, I hope it's just a passing. I hope me talking about Mark too much is just something that I'm going to get over. I mean, my paintings, look at them. I mean, it's like if Photoshop, I just took that slider, that saturation slider, just went whoop all the way to the end, and all these crazy things happen. This is what I think is fun. Sorry about you. If you don't agree with me, I'm irritating the fire out of you. All right, I'm ready to go back to this window, at least for a moment here. I'm going to do a little bit more Jeremy Manning here. Some big comment here. Jane. Ooh, Jane, excellent question. Thank you for asking that. Jane just asked, she's wondering, is it possible to skip the first half and just go straight to doing paintings that look like paint? And that, I'm so glad you asked that, because the thought has flitted through my mind on occasion. I've just never stopped long enough to answer it. First of all, the answer is yes. To ask Jane's question another way, can you be a good painter without being a good drawer? Is that a fair way to put it? Can you be a good painter without being, so to speak, a consummate realist? Can you? And the answer is of course you can. I'm going to explain. Maybe I shouldn't say of course. I'm just going to say yes, you can. Can you do good paintings that are not super real? Well, and I guess the of course part comes because we know many people throughout history, right? Now, and I'm not even including, by the way, the poor people who got stuck in the whirlpool of modern preachy painting. That is, the much of the modern world, the goal of art is to propagandize. I'm not even going to get into that. But let's just talk about, for instance, like Georgia O'Keeffe, right? I mean, you can see the impression, the suggestions of realism, say, in her flowers, but to say that she's a realist would really stretch the bounds of that. And I don't think she's preaching, right? So again, I'm not even going to get into, again, even a Picasso, who yes, preached, not infrequently. I could defend that statement, but I'm not going to bother. Hello.
You did it again.
I did. What did I do?
You did it again, man.
Thank you. I'm doing it again anyway.
I always. I catch you here and there.
Thank you. Yeah, man. Thank you. Tell me your name again.
Alex. We've never really personally met.
Are you serious?
But I'm
totally
Dan. Stood
Alex?
behind you. Yes, sir. Dan.
Have you really?
Yeah, I've stood behind you many of years and watched you paint.
Oh, thank you.
All the disclosures and cons and things downtown, whatever.
That's right. Well,
nights like these.
Thank you, Alex.
Art painting.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It is.
Yeah.
This is the first time I painted here since the reopening.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So first time I've been to the park.
Quaint.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's nice. You know, it took them 2 years and $13 million. We
Fair
kind of wonder where all that time and money went.
Well, what a nice office they built for you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take it that way. Exactly.
Pleasure to meet you,
What
man.
fun, Alex. Thank you so much, man.
Keep it up.
Thank you. That's fun. That's real sweet. I would also mention really my favorite in this regard is, and it's kind of hard to say if this is an example, but Van Gogh. It is, you know, I mean, he was a passable drawer, right? But I don't think, none of the, let's take for instance, all the young people on the internet right now that are completely, or significantly, completely might be an exaggeration, but they're completely gaga over hyper photorealism, right? It took me 600 hours to draw this eye. You know the kind of thing I'm talking about, right? All right. None of them would look at a Van Gogh and go, golly! Yeah, do you hear me? That's an adolescent artist. No, they would not do that. They would yawn at Vincent van Gogh because they would say, oh, he's nothing, man. My cousin Jimmy can, he's 1,000 times better than Vincent van Gogh. That's what they would say, right? All right. So I probably made this a tad more dramatic than I needed to, didn't I, Jane? So the question is, can you skip the first half and go straight to the second? And the answer is yes. There's a little bit of a but coming. It's not insurmountable. It's not a huge but. There's a cautionary word. You have to paint in such a way. Here's where I'm struggling to define what I want to say. You have to paint in such a way that your mistakes, so to speak, your inaccuracies of your drawing are part of the charm of your painting. Grandma Moses, another example. I mean, horrible drawer if it comes to perspective, right? But who doesn't like a Grandma Moses, you know? Well, I'm sure somebody doesn't, but. So I haven't said it very well, and maybe I think some other people have weighed in here perhaps. Hello.
Hey. I hope we're not bothering you.
Oh, if I didn't want people walking by, well, I wouldn't be out in the park now, would I?
That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm anxious to look at my monitor over there and see what others are saying at the moment about this very good topic, very good question. But let me keep painting for a bit. Can you go straight to second half? The answer is yes. The inaccuracies have to be part of the charm. They can't just look like mistakes. Okay, I think here's the key thing. Yes, you can have wrongness in your drawing. If the painting, if the abstract elements, okay, Jane, this is it. So if your drawings are not accurate, then your abstractions have to be awesome. Line, shape, color, design, value, texture. And if I just go back to Van Gogh, that's where he was absolutely, positively jaw-dropping. His brushstrokes can make you cry. His colors, it's like I was saying a while ago, what makes this painting, if it is beautiful, what makes it beautiful is not that it's buildings, trees, and cars. It's all the abstract elements. And Van Gogh was just a monster. He was a veritable freak of nature. Especially when you consider, whatever, his lack of exposure. I mean, he had friends, Gauguin, who was it? I forget. Anyway, one of those great abstract guys was his live-in friend for a while, Anyway, let me see what some of you guys have said about Jane's question. I see some good statements over here. Susan says, I'm glad we don't all paint the same because that would make us stand out. Yes, exactly. Jolie, that's a good point, Susan. Everyone is unique. Jane says, I took your advice from a year ago and have focused on drawing to ultimately improve painting. Feeling better about drawing, but no better about color. Ooh, interesting. Barbara says, I think you need to learn the rules to break the rules. That is certainly true. Way to go, Jane. So your drawing has improved, right? That you said that, but you're still no better with color. Okay, well, and color is not part of the drawing, color process, that's part of the abstract process, right? That puzzles me. I would love to what I would love to do, this makes me think that we might be getting closer to the day when I'm going to be doing online painting forum. I've been leading a painters group here in Raleigh for 12, 13, 14 years, something like that. And I want to share it with the world. There would be a small price, a small cost. You would email me a picture of your painting. We would discuss it as a group, and I would print it out on canvas, and I would touch up your painting with your permission, of course. I mean, you know what I mean? I would touch up the print with my suggestions. Jane, I would just say this. I am not a strong colorist. And I sort of suspect that most people would look at my paintings and say, "Nuh-uh, you are a strong colorist." And I would repeat, I am not a strong colorist. I just have learned how to fool people. I feel like doing this tree, by the way. Ooh, all paint the same thing. That's a thought. Well, we can experiment around. I would appreciate if anybody has any strong, brilliant ideas along those lines, like Barbara just did. You know, let me know what you think. Oh, where was I going? I was going to say something. Oh, I hope it'll come back to me. If it was important, it'll come back. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, color. I'm not a strong colorist. I do remember very clearly being in college, and some of my classmates in painting classes, some of them were just, compared to me, amazing colorists. Like, you know, they could put color A, chartreuse, next to color B, a fuchsia, or coral. I'm trying to use non-art colors, you know, non-art names. And it just looked fantastic. And I would look at that and just go, golly. Back in the 90s, I had a very good, well, he's still a good friend, but I was an illustrator and he was a graphic designer. He worked for several big ad agencies. He's still a graphic designer and still a friend. And we were very close and still are, but we don't see each other very often. And he laughed one time. I can't remember what we were talking about, but somehow we were talking about art, which is not surprising since we're both artists. And he said, "Yeah, Dan, your favorite colors are gray and brown." That's what a friend of mine said in the mid 90s. I was an illustrator, and he said, "Yeah, Dan, your favorite colors are gray and brown." So, and he was right. I mean, it was hilarious because it was true. And not literally true, but there was a grain of truth in it. That's why it was so funny. I laughed out loud. I was not embarrassed. He was a dear friend, and I was a successful illustrator, so I wasn't mortified. But it was true. My favorite, my natural personality. I could be content working the rest of my life in black and white. I could be content working the rest of my life in muted, sepia tone-ish, moody drawings. Oh, that would just be so fun. Just nothing but moody stuff. I don't do it very often because I find I'm alone in my, not alone, but I'm rare in my taste for such artwork. Oh. So anyway, I'm not a colorist. I'm sorry, I'm still responding to Jane's comment about color. Everything that you see me do in color is compensating. I paint in layers of transparent color precisely because I'm not a strong colorist. If I were forced to paint like some painters and mix up all my opaque colors on the palette, mix them here and then put them here, life just would not be worth living. That's not what I was going to say. I just thought it would come out funny. That is not true. I would not commit suicide, I promise. But it would not be nearly as fun. That is just not the fun to me. That's not the way I want to paint. So everything you see me do with this layers and layers and layers of color is precisely because I'm not a strong color person. So Jane, I'm assuming that if you've been a follower of me for quite some time, that you're already playing with that. So I'm not sure what that means when you say you have trouble with color. I would love to see. I believe you. I take your word, absolutely. But I would like to see what that means. I'm not a strong colorist either. Well, that was a long answer. EDD. Oh boy. Painting abstract realism is, well, it's a lot harder than painting realism because you're making stuff up, so to speak. You can't just copy. When you're doing realism, there's a whole big part of your brain that you don't even have to use. You just look and copy. But there's a whole part of your brain that you better keep engaged when you're doing abstract realism, or you'll be on a train wreck in no time, because it's all about every single stroke. Every single stroke has its own story to tell, and if you don't think that gets tiring, that it's mentally exhausting, then you ain't paying attention. Woo. Speaking of which, it is 10 o'clock. And my feet are getting sore. I'm standing on a pad, thank God. I am having fun, but I am getting tired. You know what? I'm going to make an executive decision here. I was honestly thinking, this canvas is only 24 by 30. And I was thinking, okay, small canvas, let's go out tonight, let's just have fun, kind of take it easy, and let's just pop one off. Okay, let's just do a quick painting, maybe sell it for $400 or $500. I've got a bid for 400 right now, by the way, if anybody wants to bid anything more. But doggone it, I believe this is turning into a good painting. And that means I'd be very crazy to ruin it by, just whatever, just blowing it off at this point. I think that would be a mistake. I did not expect to do a great painting, and I'm not saying this is great, but it's got surprising potential. That the strip of blue here at the top is going to become a really important small abstract element, kind of breaking one of the rules slightly. There's be quite a bit of energy right along the top of the painting, breaking a rule, but working in this case. The fact that this building is green and this one is red and yellow in between is just honestly, folks, I mean, maybe I'll get up in the morning and say, what was I so excited about? But probably not. That doesn't usually happen. Honestly, I don't know how this happened. This is better than me. Not all of it. All this is wonderful. Everything else is, we'll see. but I'm thinking now, you know, I'd be smart not to go so long that I start making stupid mistakes out of exhaustion. But I'm going to paint a little bit longer. I want to bring this window right here up. And again, so all the light in all these windows is pure fiction. Oh, you know what? Hang on, I need to fuzz out that window a little bit. So there you go. Is it legal to do fuzz late? Oh, there you go. Yep, it is. And I was going to say too that it's an old trick. I don't know if I can. Oh, I don't. That's too white. Hang on. I want warm white here. Yeah. Okay, we're going to do a little more of that. Let me show you what I'm doing. So I've got this shape palette knife. You see that? With a flat edge up here. And I just loaded up that edge with paint, but it's too wide. So I'm going to rub off with my thumb here. Rub off paint. So now there's only paint on the last 1/4 inch of that straight edge. Follow me? Ooh, that's nice. There's another way to do that, and that is with a brush with that color on it. Just apply with the brush to part of the palette knife. So what I'm getting here with the palette knife again is just a variation in texture, you know, different look. I think I like that. And definitely wet on wet on wet. Leave that for a while. Let's move around. I'm gonna go down to the car down here, the headlight again. I've already fuzzed this 4 times, I believe. I've fuzzed the headlight. Never paint with your fingers. Hello.
You do this often?
Yes, I do.
All around Raleigh? Or?
All around Raleigh. Yep. This is the first time I've done more squares since they opened it. Yep.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you.
I like your rig.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I'll take that.
How do you power it?
That's right. Yep. That was a lot of building going into the rig.
Oh, and you got the time lapse going on?
No, I'm broadcasting on YouTube.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay. This is really cool.
Here, let me give you a card.
Absolutely.
Big fans need a card.
Absolutely.
So you can look me up. Do you have a pocket anywhere?
I got it back. Very cool.
Thank you.
Do you mind if I take your photo while you're
Please, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Post the heck out of it, man.
Do you have a
Share it with me. Yeah.
All right, well, I'll tag you.
Daniel Nelson Art. There's a link on my website.
Okay. Daniel Nelson.
Yep. Isn't that fun? Look at that light.
I wish I had my camera on me, man. I'm a photographer.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Cool. He says he's a photographer, lamenting that he doesn't have his camera on him.
Suppose the outfit
I've gone through a lot. I've done
All
ripped.
white shirts you got in paint on, huh?
Oh yeah, no, but I've done ripped out blue jeans and old shoes and T-shirt, and I've done everything. I've done everything.
In your life.
Now that I'm this old,
Yes. Okay.
it's like, okay, yeah, I've settled on it, and you know what? I find it really helps, especially like early in the day when I'm parking and whatever, because I just look like I don't look like I'm making trouble.
That's fair.
You know, they see you could go either way.
I'm in all black. Yeah, we'll see. How
you could go either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's part of the shtick. I find it works.
Dude, yes, it's really nice.
Thank you. Yeah, and if you get a good picture, and if you'll let me, I'll post, share it on my Facebook or whatever. If you put it on Instagram.
Now I'm up to the task. I gotta get off the bike.
now it's getting serious. That's great. No, you rode a bike. How far? Do you live downtown?
Yeah, I live across the street from St. Mary's. So,
Yep.
just down the street from Snoopy.
All the lights in this parking deck up here are those old-fashioned, I forget what chemical they are now. Anyway, the orange, those orange lights, right? And I just realized, I was going to do them white, but I just realized that no, that would be a really sweet touch to make them what they really are, is that orange. Hello.
Hi. Are these acrylics or oils?
No, oils. Well, actually, good question. You can't tell by looking. Acrylic underneath and oil on top. Yeah, there's no way you can tell those are oils because, yeah, if these were acrylics, they'd all be hard as rock.
Right.
They'd all be dry. Yeah, so those are oils. Good for you. Keep painting.
I'm trying. Not as good as you.
Yeah. I paint all day, every day. Well, not really. Here, look me up.
Thank you.
And if you want, you can follow me on YouTube. I teach
I like you too.
every day on YouTube. I'm broadcasting right now.
Hey, you too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, please take one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I like those orange dots up there. That was kind of a nice touch. And then they have these little discreet lights inside the restaurant that I think are real charming. There we go. I wish I could stay out here and just paint all night. Well, not all night, but to midnight anyway. But it may not be wise. Get my system all out of whack. So let me aim toward wrapping up. I've been saying that like a Baptist preacher for the last 45 minutes, haven't I? Not to pick on Baptists. But you know what I mean. Wouldn't be the same if I said Episcopalian Anglican preacher. Everybody go, what are you talking about? I mean, only the people that know would say, what are you talking about? All right, let's get off picking on the various folks. Look at that sweet little lavender in there. And that is a touch of realism right there. As I said, because there actually is black light or something on shining down on that building. All the lights are black in complete darkness over there, but they do have those black lights on. So that one little bit of realism there. Whoops, that's too bright. Hang on. So whose name should I be looking for?
Julio. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
If I had my real camera.
Oh man, no,
we'd be
but
doing a lot better here. There,
no, I can.
Okay,
Thank you,
Daniel,
man.
Of course.
Daniel Nelson Art.
Daniel Nelson. Oops, all one thing. Nelson.
Yeah. ART.
There you are.
I went by.
Woo. Oh, no, come on.
All right, thank you, man.
Absolutely, yeah.
No, you could tell. A real photographer still knows how to take pictures, even with a phone. I used to be in a gallery here in Cary,
Yeah.
and we had a photographer, Jimmy Williams, by any chance?
No, I don't know Jimmy.
He's a local.
The name might ring a bell.
He's local.
I'm
He's
an
worked.
architectural photographer.
He's a
and
big
art
dog.
photographer.
He's worked for National Geographic, so it's
That's amazing.
kind of big dog, you
Yes,
know.
he is.
And he taught a class about taking pictures with a smartphone, which I thought was just totally
That's
awesome.
Honestly,
you know,
that's
somebody
applicable, and that's
that high up.
Yes, absolutely. It's,
Now-
everyone has a camera, so you might as well teach them how to take good ones.
Exactly.
With your phone.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, name again?
Julio,
Julio.
Yes.
Like Julio, but
but I'm Italian.
there you go.
That's
There you
right.
go.
Yeah, let me follow you.
That's awesome. Thank you, man. Like Julio, but I'm Italian. That's great. Thank you, Julio. That's great. Okay, well, I've got some purple on. Well, I got some purple on this. This tree over here is just begging for purple. Give me purple, give me purple. Give me purple or I die. Whew, that's close. I'll do more of that later. Thank you, Julio. Good to meet you. Appreciate it.
Hopefully we'll connect again.
Yeah. What fun. Right now I'm just doing that old trick. You should all know, if you follow me, you know it. When you're in the opaque realm, so not all the early transparent layers and layers and layers of layer transparent, only in the opaque world like I'm in right now. Anytime you put down a color over any broad area at all, then you come back and you put a slightly lighter color on top of what you just put down. So that's what I just did on top of that purple there. I did purple, you know, here, 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 here. And then that's a lot of area. So then I mix up a slightly lighter, and in this case also slightly pinker, and just do a little bit on top of some of that. And then some of you will say, well, if you do it once, can you do it twice? And the answer is, heck yeah. So it's in fact what I'm gonna do right now. And even lighter, just in even fewer spots. And now what I'm doing right now is extremely hard edge. And so that means it's dangerous. Hard edge is dangerous. Remember, repeat after me. Hard edge is dangerous. Very good. Why? Because it's real easy for a painting to have too many hard edges. Real easy for a painting to have too many hard edges. Nearly impossible for a painting to have too many soft edges, all right? So all you hardies, all of you hard folks, soften up, right? That's truly what you want to do, isn't it? Oh, help me, Mr. Wizard. I'm far too hard in my painting. Welcome to the human race. Okay, and again, that's for most of us, that's part of that journey from first half of our journey to second half, is learning how to celebrate the soft edges. It's one of the hallmarks of the masters, any of the masters. I'm going to do something a little bit risky here, hoping a wind doesn't come up. Look at, I have a great big, I didn't realize it was that bad. I got a great big bare spot. I'll touch that up later, but let me go ahead and put blue there just right now. All right, so I think this is the last thing I'm going to do before I fold up for the night. It's the last major thing that needs to happen. Everything else is sort of detail-ish. There's a lot of work needs to be done down here in these cars, including things like reflection of sky on the roof. Okay, did you catch that? Hard edge, soft. Let's do it again. Hard edge, well, sort of hard edge, soft. And now, I didn't mean to do that. My hand just did that all by itself. What am I going to do about that? I'm going to leave that right there because it looks cool. I didn't do it on purpose. I'm not smart enough to paint that good. Here we go again, right? You with me? But I am smart enough to spot some good painting when I see it and leave it. It's like, dang, that's some good painting right there. That's a great example, by the way. And can you see what I'm talking about? Let me zoom in just for a second. See this, I was going to demonstrate softening this, but my hand had a mind of its own and went boom and drew a streak all the way down there, right? Completely abstract. Right, why does it look good? First of all, let me tell you, whether you think it does or not, I'm going to tell you it looks great. Well, let me tell you why it looks great. It looks good because it was done with speed, boldness, panache, confidence, joy, joie de vivre, enthusiasm. Got it? Any stroke applied in such a manner is going to look good. Hello, folks.
Hi.
Forgive me while I talk to my friends and ignore you. Well, thank you.
Pick out a bookmark?
Absolutely, please do.
Pick one. Here, there's the dollar.
Are you going to sell this?
I've got a bid of, thank you. I've got a bid of $400.
Oh.
I won't let it go for $400.
Oh.
So,
$400 for this painting?
yeah, that's obscene, isn't it?
Is that a Vita Manda?
It's beautiful.
Oh, it's right there.
Yeah, okay.
I turned on all the lights in the poorhouse.
Yeah.
The lights are never on in the poorhouse, even when it's open,
okay.
but
Did you make up that car? Or is that...
no, I have pictures. There was actually a car there. Yeah. Yeah, so you want a painting? I let it go for $5, maybe. Are you?
Tonight, but, you know.
Okay, tell you what, no pressure. There's all my contact information.
All right, we will definitely
take a picture of this. I'm broadcasting on YouTube. If you buy the painting, you can watch me paint the whole thing. I'm not going to finish tonight. I'm about to wrap up. It's about 85% done right now, okay? Just to give you some idea. So yeah, think about it.
That was the first one I pulled.
For what it's worth, I was named the #1 artist in the Triangle last year.
Are you here every Wednesday?
No. I'm downtown, but I'm far and away, forgive me,
Art space?
arrogant warning, boop, arrogance alarm. I'm far and away the best known artist in Raleigh.
Yeah, okay.
Here's why.
Nice.
How many artists do you see out here tonight?
There's none of them.
0.
You come every day for a year,
Uh-huh.
and the answer will still be 0. And me,
You want that one?
200 times. Oh, don't you don't like that one?
What's wrong with that?
It's kind of creepy, isn't it?
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that funny? Anyway, so I jest, of course, but yeah, so go home and Google me and say, dang, he is kind of okay.
This is a good one.
You like that one?
Take that one.
All right, we're
Take
going to
that
take
one.
that one. No,
Good,
it's for you.
and give the painting some thought.
Memento of-
I would consider, just to
Wait,
be,
where did this? Oh, where'd this come?
oh,
I
that's
took
a
that out
bit,
of there.
that's a business card too. That's just
oh.
this is a smart-ass business card.
Oh, okay.
Because there's nothing
Can I
on
take
it.
this one?
Yes,
instead of
yes.
This one? Yeah.
Because there's nothing on it by my name,
Yeah,
so
I
you
like
have
this
to
one
use
better.
Google.
Yeah.
You know how to use Google, right?
I know. I've been known to
Familiar.
dabble. I've been known to dabble on Google. It's very nice to meet you.
Likewise. So what are your names? What name should I look for?
Very nice.
What is your
what's
name?
that? Alex. I'm Alex.
Alex.
I'm Debbie.
Hi, Debbie. Good to meet you.
Very nice.
Yeah,
to meet you.
so I was going to say, I would consider, now I'm really liking the painting, so I'm not sure, 500 plus sales tax. So that's
Okay.
540 or
Yeah.
something. So
We were
think about
watching
it.
you from the restaurant.
Oh, are you?
We were sitting over there watching.
I pulled out of all galleries, but for years that size has gone for about $2,000, just to give you an idea.
okay.
So
Right.
no pressure.
No pressure.
You're
Go home,
awesome.
think about it.
You got the
We
umbrella
will.
up there in
Contact
case
me in
there's
2 days.
Yeah.
Good to meet you. You guys are all there keeping me honest. I admit I am getting more confident about saying I'm the best known artist in Raleigh. And part of what makes me confident to say that is, again, if there's any young artists who ever watch this, do what I do, man. Do what I do. If you want a career, get out where the people are and stay out there. Oh, yeah, anyway. You know good and well, though, until 2 months ago, I was painting in my garage 90% of the time. Anyway, but over the years, this has been, in fact, my vocation. Hey, man. Whew, I think I'm going to wrap it up for the night. 6:30, so 4 hours, right at 4 hours. My big tree needs some work. I'm looking at it with fresh eyes. I do. Yeah. Do you know where Jerry's Artorama art store is? It's on Wake Forest Road, Old Wake Forest Road, inside the Beltline. Anyway, I teach there quite a bit. That's the most common place in Raleigh. Are you an artist?
Yeah, I am.
Are you? What's your name?
Giovanni.
Giovanni, what a great name. You ought to be an artist, Giovanni. That's great. Wow, what an awesome name. You got a lot to live up to, don't you? Good for you. Here, take a card and send me a text or an email or something, and we'll try to connect. I broadcast, like right now I'm live on YouTube, so I teach almost every day on YouTube.
Okay.
How old are you? May I ask?
I'm 18.
All right.
Yeah.
Good man. Good to meet you. Bless you.
You too.
Thank you. Oh, what a precious kid. Oh my goodness. Lord bless Giovanni. All right. Whew. 4 hours later, and I did not practice my trumpet. I thought about it today before I left the house. And I thought, no, I'll probably quit about 9:30, get home at 10, and I can squeeze in a little practice, but I'm not getting home till 11:15. It's a little bit late. All right, let me see what you friends have been saying to me here. And I am going to sit down, because guess what? The worst part about painting is the tired feet. Give you the broad angle. I just love how that light reflects off my bald head. Oh man. David Mercer, it says, going way back, how many, 20, 30 minutes ago in our color conversation. He's a strong colorist. Good. We are not afraid of people around here saying what they're good at. Have I seen the work of Charlie Hunter? Oh no. I wonder if I can look it up on my backup phone. I'll do it right now if I can. Oh, I think I can. So hang on. Yeah, I'd love to see the work of Charlie Hunter. Here, let's do it right now. Charlie Hunter art. Let's type now. Enough of the fancy stuff. I love Google for this kind of stuff. So you just type in, then you just hit image. And you typically see a whole bunch. Okay, it's going slow. I'll look again in a minute after it's uploaded. Ooh, oh yeah. I have seen this stuff before. Okay, I don't know if I can, I don't know if this will work or not. Let me see if I can show this to you guys. Okay, yeah, beautiful muted. Hang on. Woo. You get the idea. That's pretty bad resolution. Yes. His favorite colors are brown and gray. And I do like them very much. Good call. Yeah. Nice stuff. Joe Lee says, I'm focused on this painting. You got that right. I was focused. Has such a nice glow. Thank you, Barbara. David just Kincaided me. We're turning it into a verb now. David Mercer just Kincaided me. All right. First of all, that's funny because there's a big grain of truth, right? There's obviously. I will protest. No doubt too loudly. There is a lot of Kincaid in it because of light, play of light. But he never did anything like, anyway, never mind. I'm going to sound defensive. Let's let it go at that. But thank you. That's hilarious. Hilarious because it's a big grain of truth. Oh, man. Oh, boy. I lost my place. Oh, yeah. Deborah from Grand Rapids, used to be from Grand Rapids. Oh, she's limited palette, but always shocked by how much different it looks in the sunlight. Oh, yeah. Barbara made a good point, and I know these are all old, forgive me, but I absolutely, Barbara, I agree. For beginner students, limited palette, and then grow your palette as your understanding of color expands. I think that's a really good general rule of thumb. Start out limited. So I'm really talking to you teachers. I don't imagine I'm talking to students. If there are students listening, then Google limited palette. You find all different kinds of different versions. Any one of them will do that. I agree. Yeah, Deborah, good word. Deborah says, I've always been good at color mixing, kind of came intuitively, naturally, but other things don't. Exactly. Welcome to the human race. I'm the same way with mixing colors, even though I'm not a strong colorist. I don't mean to mislead you when I said earlier, but I've told you before, I remember so clearly at age 12, sitting at the dining room table, light bulb came on, I went, oh my goodness, I can make any color in the world with these three colors. I had the three primaries in front of me, white and black, and three primaries, and the light bulb came on. So at age 12, I remember so clearly that realization. So I'm good at mixing, I don't mean that, but I'm not bold like some people are. But this makes me look bold because I've compensated, as you know. Anyway, so yeah, we all have things we're good at and things we're not good at. Thank you, Sharon, London. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, somebody else. I'm glad somebody else entered into the Kincaidism. Susan says, oh, Dave, you just called Dan painting a Kincaid. LOL. Yes, next Mark Carter me. All right, you guys, this has been just too much fun. Appreciate your company. So evidently I'm going to finish this painting tomorrow. And we'll visit then. All right. Bye-bye.